resorted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from.
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
The struggle with ASU strike.
The Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
Thank you everyone for joining us here on Global Morning. We are Mofwebe, and this is Global Television. We're live in Abuja, Nigeria's capital. It's a great day, no doubt about it, as already the weatherman had told us yesterday. It's been a rainy morning, particularly across the FCT. This is September. Yes, rains are generally expected. Again, that's added to the forecast we've been seeing the last couple of weeks, particularly as it has to do with flooding that will impact certain states more than ever before, at least as compared to what we've seen in recent years. The Nigeria Meteorological Agency, NIMET, the Nigeria Hydrological Services have all been doing an amazing work, trying to keep Nigerians abreast of weather, the changes in climate, what precautionary measures should be taken by individuals, by citizens, and very importantly, what governments, particularly state governments, should be doing in this regard. Well, we've seen the flooding in a place like Borno, Adamawa in particular. We've seen how that has also had an impact on places like neighboring state Yobe in the northeast, and you move to the northwest in a place like Zamfara. We saw what flooding has equally done there. It just means that more than ever before, we have to be more deliberate, particularly intentional about how we deal with issues around the environment. So it's not just going to be about the government alone, but citizens must also take responsibility for all of this. Just yesterday, we're talking with somebody on one of our programs on the desk, and he was saying that it's hardening how that you build your house on a waterway, and the government comes and says, look, you can't have a structure on a waterway. I mean, that's a no-brainer. And then government decides to bring down that structure so that one person's interest does not become a problem for the interest of maybe hundreds or thousands of other people, because as they say, someone else's right begins at a point where yours stops. And the next thing you know is people are saying, well, this person spent too much of money. They had to spend their life savings to build a house. Having served for 35 years, they spend their pension to build a house. And now the authorities have come and taken out the house and what have you. But the question is, aren't there regulations? Aren't there procedures for putting a structure in place? If you have violated those requirements, if you have flouted the rules, is it not only natural that there should be consequence? So that shows that there's something wrong with our approach to environmental issues. There's something not right with regards to our mindsets concerning how we treat the environment, and then see where we are now, gully erosion, you have flooding all over the place. Yes, we can say government has also failed on some levels, whether federal or state, in terms of how they treat the environment, in terms of what the agencies in particular have been doing within the framework of their own mandates to ensure that they do their part, they carry out their own obligation. But then at this point in time, rather than continue to talk about blame, or as it were, bounce off blames, it should be a time for us to reflect, tell ourselves the truth, make substantial investments, be more proactive in this regard, and find a way to deal with the issues around the environment. We're taking a quick break now. When we return, we'll talk a little more about the environment, but let's not forget that we have papers up ahead for you as well. Do stay with us.
But by your name, you say global. So global is a big coverage. So you are taking a big name, but you're starting from from scratch. So that big name by the grace of Almighty Allah, you achieve that. You will appreciate your activities, your reportage, and everything you are doing. Do it with the fear of Almighty God. Step by step, you'll be growing very, very globally. Get your things right and then report rightly. And then inshallah, sky will be your limit.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bands, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business.
Incidentally, flooding is something that is here with us. It's a lifetime phenomenon. We can fight it off, but how we handle it, how we manage it, is a very critical factor. We understand that the federal government now has issued advisory, particularly to states, of course, citizens all over, to say, look, the Lagdo Dam in Cameroon will be released this week. And when that happens, it's going to cause a lot of flooding. Now, what the authorities are saying is we will make efforts, and we are working on it, to ensure that the release is done on a gradual basis so as to minimize the impact it will have. Whether or not we have the capacity to manage all of these is still a subject of debate. But however, the lessons we expectedly should have learned the last few years, all right, are going to be very crucial at this point. That is if we have learned any lesson at all. Because when flooding comes, the damage it does is evidently unquantifiable. Whether it's going to wash off farmlands or it's going to sweep buildings away, of course, displace people, most times in their hundreds of thousands, sometimes in millions, and what have you. All right, it's not something that is in doubt because that naturally comes in the park. But then it just shows that some of the things we failed to do years ago, the negligence that we showed as citizens and as governments years past, are already coming to haunt us and now. Because again, just 3 days ago, we heard that there's going to be an overflow of rivers Niger and Benue. That in itself will impact very adversely specific states. And before now, we had seen NIMET, for example, send advisories to states to say, look, you've got to set up camps to ensure that those people that will be displaced on account of flooding and other forms of environmental impacts don't become stranded. In other words, we need to mitigate the impact of these disaster on them. Yesterday, Toba Wajayi, public affairs analyst, was saying on one of our programs that, look, it's not rocket science to set up camps. But the question naturally, as is always the case, is will state governments, particularly the governors of these states that will be impacted, make it a matter of priority, right, to set up camps, do that early enough, so that by the time it happens, it doesn't become an issue of crying again to the federal government. Some billions are now being said to be unaccounted for, several allegations of mismanagement, misappropriation, in some cases outright theft of funding meant for issues of ecology, of course, issues that have to do with management of gully erosion and other issues around the environment. Most times there's counterpart funding in this regard between the federal and state governments. But then that is one of the several elephants in the room at this point. So when we talk about flooding, most times we just pay attention to the impact, so what would have already happened, to the things that would have already gone wrong. Nobody is asking who should be held accountable for how we got here, because incidentally, that's one of the conversations we're having today on Global Morning, where we're going to be talking about the socio-economic impact of flooding, particularly when you spotlight the unfortunate incident that has happened and impacted the good people of Borno State, particularly Maiduguri, just the last few days. Because by the time even the water runs off, as they say, the smoke clears, you can't pretend about the impact it would have had and how people will be able to get their lives back economically and socially while we continue to talk about cleanup. Look at Ogoniland, for example, is still a subject of debate till tomorrow. Cleanup has not been done even after the government of former President Muhammadu Buhari had talked about some 20 billion naira earmarks to do the cleanup of Ogoniland. But again, it just shows that it's always one layer of challenge after another, after another, after another. But flooding is probably the biggest conversation we're having right now in this country. We're taking a quick break. When we return, it will be time to look at the papers for you. Please stay with us.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team. Is the desk on Global Television?
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momodu on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are the Palestinians. We are the Canaan because
That this country gets it right.
It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the Dex.
Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here.
Let's take you through the papers quickly and bring you big headlines across our national dailies today. Wednesday it is, the 18th day in the month of September. And it turns out that we have several papers to look at for you today, about a dozen of them. But let's begin with the Daily Trust newspaper. We'll start with the big story on the front page of the Daily Trust. It says petrol price NNPCL not usurping powers. That's according to NMD PRA on the front page of the Daily Trust. Three riders, and the first one says it is not a regulator, cannot fix prices. IPMAN looks out for official notification. FG can reduce costs by cutting taxes deductions. What's more, above the big story, FG issues flood alerts as Cameroon opens Lagdo Dam. FG to split Unity colleges into basic secondary schools. Maiduguri flood, Dantata donates 1.5 billion naira, NEDC 3 billion naira to victims. A lot of money coming in, but we do hope that all of this money and other vital resources will be judiciously channeled in such a way that it gets to the target's beneficiaries. All right. Onaiko flays FG's reforms, says middle class becoming poor. And then on the foot of the front page, Danjuma to service chiefs, no more excuses, end killings now. 4 die, 8 injured in Ogun Road accident. CBN to expand e-Naira for government transactions. Pick up a copy of the Daily Trust today and then see details for yourself. But then we need to turn to the Daily Times now, and we will start with a headline just above the nameplate of the Daily Times news paper. All right. What does it say? Gunmen attack occupants of Delta official car near Government House, vanish with millions. All right. That's apparently somewhere in Asaba, Delta State. Pencom, FG to pay all outstanding pensions, liabilities. Those details are on page 4 of the Daily Times newspaper. Suspend all policies impoverishing Nigerians. NASMI begs FG. We have adequate water to put out any fire in Bauchi, Governor Bala chides Wiki. Of course, just for those who may not understand the perspective, the former governor of River State, now Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wiki, had said that he would, quote and unquote, put fire in the state of governors, that is PDP governors, who are taking side or sympathizing with his political or estranged political godson, Siminalayi Fubara of River State. Right, but of course, there's no way the FCT minister would have said that or meant it literally. But then the chairman of the PDP Governors Forum, Governor Bala Muhammad, Bauchi State, is now saying that his state, Bauchi, has enough water to put out any kind of fire, obviously including the one that Mr. Wiki intends to set in PDP states, where the governors are believed by him to be siding with his successor, Fubara. All right, NG to unbundle 15 unity colleges, FG to unbundle 15 unity colleges. We understand the goal is to make it such that there will be elementary and high schools. All right, and then the Star story reads, FCT residents panic over tremors as experts urge prompt evacuation. We understand that Mpape is particularly an area of focus in this regard. All right, Nigeria makes case for Borno Zamfara flood victims at AU Parliament. All right, quite a sad story, but let's see how we can manage this, given the amount of effort we've seen so far. CBN expands in-era capabilities for government transactions, enhanced integration. All of those details await you on page 15 of today's issue of the Daily Times newspaper. Let's go to the first news now. That's our next port of call. First news, one with a picture of the General Overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Pastor Enoch Adeboye. He says, how my desire for paramilitary role led to me being duped. Adeboye reveals. That story actually is replicated across several papers, including the Punch, for instance. All right, what more does it say here? Well, it reads, yes, another story says, Peter Obi LP leaders visit Borno, donate 50 million naira amid flood crisis. Abdusalami urges immediate action to address worsening economic crisis. We are well equipped to quench your fires, Bala Mohammed tells Wiki. Over 15,000 displaced by Jigawa floods take refuge in schools, says Sema Bas. Global education crisis, 404 million students displaced by floods. World Bank urges action. CBN exposes grave danger. External reserves endangered by fuel subsidy removal. So that's apparently one of the implications of the removal of fuel subsidy. All right, but that's not all. Here it says, Lukman pleads with OBJ, IBB, Guso, Save Nigeria Democracy from ICU. That's the Lukman that was leader in the APC, but has now formally resigned his membership of the party. What's more, T.Y. Danjuma urges military to end banditry killings in Nigeria. Okay, all of those are the stories awaiting you when you pick up a copy of the first newspaper today. All right, but we have The Guardian as well, with very well laid out graphics right on the front page of it. Okay, the big story on the front page of The Guardian newspaper says World Patient Safety Day. Nigeria battles spike in medical errors, negligence in hospitals. What are the riders? Let's see what the riders are saying to us this morning on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. The first one here says, after 8 chemo sessions, 25 rounds of radiotherapy, a single mastectomy, cancer diagnosis turns out error. That's a patient. Diagnostic errors responsible for 16% of patients' harm. Practitioners blame lack of standard infrastructure for quality care. We are a dumping ground for quackery, fake, substandard, unvandalized or unvalidated kits and devices. LSN president. All right. Quite a pathetic tale to tell, but you want to read the story for yourself so you can have perspective. We've heard about diagnoses that went wrong in this country, or what you call misdiagnosis. Even former Minister for Information, who also was before then the Director General of NAFDAC, blessed memory, Professor Dora Akunyili, had also been a victim of misdiagnosis. But again, whether or not we are taking those lessons to better the lot of our healthcare system in Nigeria, thereby making it easy and possible for Nigerians to enjoy quality, standard services, all right, is a conversation we need to continue to have. Okay, a panic in Abuja over vibrations from multiple earth tremors. Okay, that story has its details on page 30 of the Guardian newspaper today. And then there's a headline with a picture of the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu. It reads, INEC talks on credibility as 379,245 PVCs uncollected in Edo State. You find it on news page 29 of the Guardian newspaper. Court rejects Lagos AG's move to stop 1.35 billion naira fraud case. All right, Lagos State government seeks accountability, says misdiagnosis cost patients 40% more. FRSC acts the illegality of being accuser, prosecutor, and judge. It's an analysis you will find on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper. Scientists confirm new fast-spreading COVID variants. Yes, you're wondering, are we still talking COVID 3 years after we thought we were out of the woods? Well, they say there's a new variant now that is even fast-spreading. So read all those details on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Nigeria on flood alert as Cameroon's Lagdo Dam releases water. Clerk Lords Dangote urges support for local refining. FG to unbundle 115 government colleges. We hope that also is done the right way, that it follows our due process. Many more papers for us to look at this morning for you, but let's take a quick break now. When we return, we'll bring you other headlines from across our national dailies. Do stay with us. Stay with us, everyone. Let's take a look at the Daily Independent now for you, with many stories on the front page of it. All right, on the front page of the Daily Independent, it says here that NNPCL, Total Energies $550 million better upstream gas project takes off. All right, so you find that on the Daily Independent. And then another one here says, We apologize for that glitch there. But let's continue with the papers now for you. The big story we're just looking at a while ago. CBN says external reserves at risk on back of fuel subsidies cuts. Two headlines: defies NAS, maintains FG ways and means advances at 5%. Once security infrastructure issues may worsen inflationary pressures. All right. Tinubu didn't ask Cardoso to resign. That's presidency. Senator Oluremi Tinubu, okay, well, you find those other stories with a picture on the front page of it, talking about agriculture, and we understand the First Lady is beginning to bring to bear her passion for agriculture, and you see her standing there with a few other persons, including the Minister of State for Agriculture. All right, no more excuses. Danjuma tasks CDS service chiefs to end insecurity. FG underscores capital markets role in Nigeria's $1 trillion economy targets. FG states LG's share $1,203 billion August 2024 revenue. That's a little in excess of 1.2 trillion naira August revenue. Okay, Bafarawa donates 1 billion naira to Sekoto. Says, I want to give back to the people. Governor Fubara suspends Akuku Toru local government chairman. You find that on page 7. Aviation unions suspend planned strike over 50% agencies IGR deductions. FG asks tertiary institutions to skip post-UTME for admission seeking PWTs, which means for people living with disabilities, there won't be post-UTME for them. That's according to a directive from the federal government. But then sustained support for local refineries, Clark charges Tinubu, because that's one way we'll be able to have petrol in surplus in this country, or at least enough to go around. All right. But then we'll move on to the next paper. This time we're looking at the leadership newspaper for you with its own stories. But let's look at one at the just above the nameplate with a picture of the founder of Bill Gates Foundation. That's talking about Bill Gates himself. It says, Agric can save 100 million children from dying in 2050. That's what Bill Gates is saying. Agric can save 109 million children from dying in 2050. Hardship getting out of control in Nigeria. Abdul Salami, the former military head of state, has also appealed to President Bola Tinubu to do something about the hardship in the country. Okay, what more do we have? FG alerts on Cameroon's plan to open Ladgo Dam. I took out time to talk about this a while ago to actually give some insights as to what could happen. What we can do going forward. All right. 2.2 million voters to decide next Edo governor on Saturday. Incidentally, this is one of our conversations on the program this morning. Edo election is just 3 days away, which means by this time on Saturday, both the electorates and INEC staff, of course, including all the other stakeholders, those in charge of logistics, security agencies, would have been gearing up to hit the ground running, right? But then let's see other headlines for you. What's more here, no excuses and banditry, terrorism now, General Danjuma. For 3 riders there, the first one reads, we are working tirelessly, defense chief. Arms Control Center to mop up 6.2 million illegal weapons. Troops arrest notorious gun runners in Plateau. And what more, if you look at the right corner of the front page of the Leadership newspaper, you find some 4 headlines there. Zimbabwe to feed the hungry citizens with 200 elephants. Maulud crash. Tinubu seeks road safety reforms. CBN issues new guidelines on ways and means. NEDC donates 3 billion naira to Borno flood victims. That's a positive development there. quite frankly. But let's look at the Daily News Hub for you as well. Tinubu too rich to loot Nigeria's resources, says Minister. That's actually credited to Minister of State for Youth. All right. Petrol subsidy removal threatens Nigeria's external reserves. CBN cries out. All right. It says foreign reserves now $36.08 billion only. Apex Bank blames lower crude oil earnings, fuel subsidy removal, rising import bills, and increased external debt servicing obligations for development. FG States cancels share 1.203 trillion naira for August 2024. 18 killed in Shagamu Benin Expressway auto crash. OBJ IBB Gusau must rescue Nigeria from ICU, ex-APC vice chair. Edo Deputy Governor Philip Shaibu slams 50 billion naira lawsuit on Obaseki, 6 others. How I was duped by a man who promised to make me commandant, Adeboye. Didi indicted on sex trafficking, racketeering charges. Popular disc jockey DJ Eyes arrested over fake bank alerts. A Lord's Chosen Church responds to mockery of viral testimonies. Yes, we've seen that trend, as they call it, ongoing across social media platforms. But now we understand that the church, in reference, has responded, all right, to this trend. I'm a rapist. Frenchman admits in mass rape trial. Quite a shameful story there. CBN insists on 5% ways and means cap. Again, we look forward to seeing the situation where the CBN governor, Dr. Olayemi Kadoso, will be invited very soon by the Senate to come explain why he's going contrary to a directive he received from the federal legislators. All right. Let's turn to the Punch for you, everyone. One headline here on the front page of the Punch newspaper has a picture of the governor of Kwara State, Abdul Razak. It says 20 governors borrow fresh 446 billion naira as revenues tumble. 3 marketers to import 141 million liters petrol. How FG earned $1.29 billion from telecom licenses, Obansa and Joe. Executive order, Tinubu eyes $2.5 billion investments. 35,000 corps arrive at Edo as joint forces begin patrol. So as is always the case, there will be most likely a show of force by Friday. Military, NSCDC, EFCC personnel, backup police team, INEC tracks ballot boxes movements. Police parades 2,740 suspected kidnappers, others with 4,087 ammunition rounds. All right. Then we have one here that says, let's see that for you. Says, PDP shifts neck meeting over state Congress crisis. 3 Oyo students remanded for allegedly causing colleagues' death. FG alerts 11 states as Cameroon plans Lagdo Dam release. Those are some of the headlines from the Punch newspaper this morning, but we have quite a few others to look at, including the Daily Sun, but that will come your way after this short break. Please stay with us. Let's turn to the Sun for you now. The Sun newspaper, the Daily Sun, that is, right? Let's see what's happening there. Big story first. It says PDP Bala Mohammed Des Wike tells FCT Minister, I have enough water to quench your fire. Just adjacent to the nameplates, it reads, Enugu government Jaffa Group signed 40 billion naira deal to revitalize moribund Sunrise Mills. And then hardship in Nigeria getting out of control. Abdulsalami tells FG kicks against distribution of palliatives, asks government to listen to cries of masses. Flood threats. NDDC builds multi-purpose emergency shelters. Nigeria unveils reforms to enhance energy security, attract investment. Clark hails Dangote refinery, calls for continued government support. Ex-Sokoto Governor Bafarawa donates 1 billion naira to states. Okay, that's a great move. All right, so what more do we have? The New Telegraph. Yes, there's New Telegraph. Let's take a look at the New Telegraph newspaper. Above it, it says CBN fuel subsidy removal threatens external reserves accretion. Oil thefts, 135 illegal refineries, pipelines discovered. And then there's a headline with a picture of Tunji Ojo, that's the Minister of Interior. FG evolves new measures to combat terrorism financing, lists integrity, document authentication, identity management, others. FG to tertiary institutions offer PWD's admission without post-UTME, urges principals to equip students with entrepreneurship skills. All right, what's more? Tinubu orders FRSC to improve highway monitoring, reduce road accidents. FG seeks to close energy gap for 100 million people as new 550 million upstream gas projects kicks off. And then the big story says, Abdulsalami to Tinubu, listen to Nigerians, hardship getting out of control. Kicks against palliatives distribution. President not interested if Nigerians are living or dying. Lukman says Tinubu has demobilized, destroyed democratic structures. Nation back to era of arbitrary arrest, detention of journalists, labor leaders, opposition. And then here, Maiduguri flood, senators, reps, Obi Dantata Marawa donates over 1.6 billion to victims. You find those details on pages 2, 5, 6, and 29 as Nigeria makes case for Borno Zamfara flood victims at AU. Edo Guba, 379,245 PVC still uncollected, says INEC. 2023, 47.7 billion naira spent as financial aid to Nigerian students in US. That's according to Envoy. 17,600 students gained admission to US schools. Let's see one more. Bauchi has enough water to quench Wike's fire, says Mohammed. All right. As PDP group tells NWC that FCT minister not bigger than party. What's more, end insecurity, stop killings. ASAP T.Y. Danjuma tells service chiefs. The writer says CDS assures of commitments to peace restoration. And then at the foot of the New Telegraph this morning, chemicals used in food preparation can be harmful. That's according to a study. All right. Hopefully we read all of these and then stay updated with regards to the news. Let's take a look at the Nation newspaper at this point for you. From the Nation newspaper, Tinubu signed peace accord, presidency counters Kuka. Recall that a few days ago, the Archbishop of Sokoto Diocese of the Catholic Church, Archbishop Matthew Kuka, has said that President Tinubu did not sign peace accord in 2023, but now presidency says that the then presidential candidate of the APC, Bola Tinubu, had signed the peace accord. Hopefully there will be a rejoinder from Bishop Kuka, but you read up that story on page 2 of the Nation newspaper. 99 illegal refineries found, 35 oil thieves held in 1 week. JAM unveils plan to boost education access to PLWDs. Dangote can't sell petrol below cost price, says Rwani. Edo 2024, 2.2 million voters to elect Obasanjo's successor. And banditry killing now, Danjuma tells service chiefs. Ribadu arms control law operational while insecurity persists by Interior Minister. Why does it persist? Well, you can read it up from today's issue of the Nation newspaper. Cameroon begins release of water from Lagdo Dam. The writer says agency Rivers, Adamawa, what else? Taraba, Benue, Nasarawa, Kogi, Edo, Delta, Anambra, Bayelsa, Cross River on the alert, of course. All right. And then here another headline on the front page of the Nation newspaper still says CBN to maintain 5% loan cap to governments. And then we have one here that also says Rivers PDP elders tackle Ada George for attacking Wike. You find that on page 4 of the Nation newspaper. All right, another quick break now, everyone. When we return, we'll take a look at a few more papers, this time beginning with the Nigerian Tribune. We're back shortly. Do stay with us. Let's take a look at the Tribune newspaper for you now. The big story says PDP BOT meets Wike behind closed doors. That's the Board of Trustees of the People's Democratic Party. Two writers here say, you can't set Bauchi on fire. Governor dares FCT minister. Insists PDP Governors Forum stands by Fubara. FAC, FG states LG's share 1.203 trillion naira August revenue. FG to unbundle 115 Unity colleges. Makinde flags off upgrade of Ibadan airports today. Yeah, every state needs to have an airport now. At least that's the signal that most governors are sending. But we'll see how that plays out. Okay, ECOWAS targets $12 billion capital investment for Lagos-Abidjan road projects. 2.2 million registered voters collected PVCs in Edo. That's according to INEC. So you have over 2 million voters who will determine the outcome of this election. In other words, choose a governor on behalf of Edo people. Flooding, 250,000 persons at risk of being displaced in Kogi. Government's warns, establishes 42 IDP camps. And banditry killings. Now, no room for excuses. Danjuma tells service chiefs. It's illegal for NNPCL to fix price of Dangote petrol. That's Fallon on there talking. I'm sure it will be an interesting read, which you can find on page 8 of today's issue of the Nigerian Tribune. Okay, but that's all we are bringing you from the Nigeria Tribune this morning. Our last paper will be the Vanguard newspaper, and then we're going to begin that from just above the nameplate of it. It says a fuel subsidy removal, others can pose risk to external reserves. Again, that's credited to the CBN. Abdusalami to FG, situation is bad, listen to Nigerians' cries. Insecurity, you can end banditry now, T.Y. Danjuma task service chiefs. Edo Guba, PDP, APC, LP in last-minute rush for votes. The Star story tells us NNPCL Dangote, fresh dispute emerges over supply volume. What does the writer say? NNPC hints of undersupply from Dangote. You have about 5 writers with that's a big story this morning. All right. Then let's look at sports a bit. AFCON 2025, Libya fire coach ahead Super Eagles clash. Flood. Lado Dam begins release of water. NISA warns. Fraud. Foreigners giving Nigeria bad name. FG insists. And then you have a couple of columns there. You can also read up when you pick up a copy of today's issue of the Vanguard newspaper. But we have two conversations in front of us. One focuses on the issue of flooding in Maiduguri in this instant case and what the socio-economic issues have been, and then of course ways to be able to tackle them. The second discussion will take us to Benin City, Edo State, in light of the election scheduled for this Saturday, 21st of September, which is just about 3 days away. We're taking a break. Next will be the Global AM News. Stay with us, everyone. Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here. Get ready for it. Inside Today brings you issues relating to family, peer pressure, drugs, substance abuse, societal and topical issues making rounds. Join Jumain Manson on Global Television Monday to Thursday and it repeats every Friday. Time 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Don't miss out.
I've seen watch your network, Global Television, and I think it's a refreshing addition to some of the networks that we already have, and to have competitive media and looking at news from different angles. The place to go is to watch Global Television because it gives you a different perspective, whether it is local news or foreign news, and even you're connecting with local communities in villages that I have seen. So we urge Nigerians that, this is the time to broaden the space, the source of information, of entertainment, and of enlightenment. And Global TV is the place to watch.
Are you ready to be entertained like never before? Get ready to dive into the latest and greatest entertainment news in lifestyle, music, movies, birthday celebration, and so much more. All on Entertainment Circle on Global Television. From the hottest red carpet event to exclusive interviews with your favorite stars, we've got you covered. Stay up to date with the latest trends and news from the entertainment world, all in one place. Tune in every Saturday by 1 p.m. with Chung Animal Joseph on Global Television.
But by your name, you say global. So global is a big coverage. So you are taking a big name, but you are starting from from the scratch. So that big name, by the grace of Almighty Allah, you achieve that. You will appreciate your activities, your reportage, and everything you are doing. Do it with the fear of Almighty God. Step by step, you'll be growing very, very globally. Get your things right and then report rightly. And then inshallah, sky will be your remaining.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bands, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here.
Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to the Global AM News here on Global Television. I am Queen Akaba. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and free to air on Nigecomsat. President Bola Tinubu has announced the establishment of a disaster relief fund in Maiduguri, Borno State to assist Nigerian citizens impacted by floods and other disasters. The president announced this at the Borno Government House when he visited the state to sympathize with the government and people over the recent flooding from Alao Dam. Sharona J has details.
President Bola Tinubu visited the Shehu of Borno in an internally displaced persons camp at the government secondary school in Maiduguri and had a drive-through of the areas affected by the disaster. President Tinubu, who urged the private sector to contribute to the fund, says the relief fund is expedient as the climate becomes more unpredictable and many places in the country are vulnerable to its vagaries.
People of Borno, Yobe, and other affected states, I say we will pull together a very good program for Nigeria to recover from this calamity and do better in the interest of our people. I've been thinking of how do we tackle this kind of a problem, whether it's climate change or any other means. But there must be a disaster relief fund.
At the palace, the Shehu of Borno, Abubakar El-Kanami, thanked the president for the honor of visiting the state after the vice president Kashim Shettima has earlier represented him. The Shehu of Borno urged the president to investigate the cause of the Alao Dam collapse and overflow into the town to prevent a recurrence.
2 is 1. That is, to find out the root cause of this flooding and address appropriately so as to avoid future occurrence, as over 80% of this town has been affected by this disaster.
The governor of Borno State thanked the president for the visit and commended the prompt intervention of the federal government agencies, particularly NEMA, and the military's theater command in evacuating stranded victims.
The magnitude of the damage we have, as it has been said by His Royal Highness, the Shehu of Borno, we want you to look into the possibility of reconstructing this dam with new hydraulic structures that can handle natural flow of water.
President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, who accompanied the president on the visit, says the National Assembly will collaborate with the executive to establish the fund. Sharona J reporting for Global TV News.
Elsewhere, President Bola Tinubu has pledged his commitment to assist the National Identity Management Commission in establishing an efficient digital identity system. The commission stated that the number of Nigerians with national identification numbers has increased to 110 million, indicative of a 2.39% increase from the 107.34 million that was recorded as of the end of May 2024. The president stressed that every Nigerian's unique proof of identity underscores their fundamental rights to protection, sustenance, and support as recognized members of society, regardless of their location. Troops have neutralized 4 bandits and rescued 20 kidnapped persons during 2 operations in Benin, Gwari, and Giwa local government areas of Kaduna State. Samuel Aruwan, overseeing Commissioner of the Ministry of International Security and Home Affairs, Kaduna State, stated that troops from Operation Forest Sanity conducted special clearance operations in Alawa, Benin, Gwari local government area. The troops reportedly spotted bandits' movements around Kwaga and after a brief pursuit, neutralized 2 bandits. They recovered 2 AK-47 rifles, 3 magazines, 3 motorcycles, and 1 Bofeng radio. The Nigerian police force has refuted the narrative in the news of arresting people indiscriminately in Edo State. The force public relations officer Olumuyiwa Adejobi made this known while parading 14 suspects who are involved in various heinous crimes in Abuja. Kike Lomo-Okere has details.
Addressing journalists in Abuja, the force public relations officer Olumuyiwa Adejobi explained that the arrest made in Edo State is in connection with the killings of the policemen within the vicinity of the airport in Benin City. He warns that the police will not condone any attack on its officers and men.
That for those that we have arrested, we don't know where they belong to. Whether they are businessmen, they are restaurant operators, or they belong to any political party. But we went after those who have killed our policeman. So for you to kill any policeman, you must have murdered peace and you cannot enjoy peace again. The blood of those policemen will continue to haunt those who have killed them.
Some of the suspects paraded confessed to the crimes which they are alleged to have committed.
Have you decided to be stealing vehicles from your own kinsmen, your own people from Anambra State?
So it's longer throat.
Pardon?
Longer throat.
Longer throat, not long throat.
Long throat, sir.
Or longer?
Long throat, sir.
He said it's longer throat.
I don't know, but because I was eager to make money and get
and to be a DJ
equipment for myself, I have been in my line of business for up to 15 years, and all this while I have been looking for ways to get money to get.
How much did you buy the DJ equipment?
I bought them for about 5 million.
Adejobi further calls on schools, churches, mosques, and recreational parks to collaborate with the Nigerian police force as the festive season approaches to fortify the area and ensure internal security.
It's becoming something worrisome, and that's why we all call on Nigerians to support security agencies to mop up these illicit harms from wrong hands. If you're in possession of something you don't value and you don't know the use, you may likely use it wrongly. And that's why they use these harms wrongly, the way it's not permitted under the law.
He also enjoined members of the public to be more security conscious while reiterating the commitment of the police force to remain steadfast in ensuring perpetrators of any crime to face the wrath of the law. Kike Lomo-Okere, Global Television News.
Elder statesman and former Chief of Defense Staff General Theophilus Danjuma has tasked all service chiefs to end banditry and return the country to the path of peace. Danjuma made this known at Armed Forces Officers' Mess in Abuja during a book launch titled Big Boots Lessons from My Military Service, authored by Solomon Udonwa, a retired Major General of the Nigerian Army. The retired top military officer who decried the ongoing abduction and killings said there are no excuses for the lingering insecurity ravaging the country, stressing that it has to stop. Wife of the President, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, has flagged off the inaugural ceremony for the first 240 members of the Young Farmers Club. The event, which took place in Abuja, marked the official launch of the club, which is an initiative aimed to engage young people early in agriculture, especially farming. Global Television brings you details. Well, we'll bring you that detail in our subsequent bulletin. In a related development, elder statesman and business magnate Aminu Dantata has donated a sum of 1.5 billion naira to flood victims that ravaged some parts of Maiduguri, the Borno state capital. Dantata made a donation when he led a delegation from Kano to Government House Maiduguri to share their moments of grief. He extended his heartfelt condolences to Governor Babagana Zulum, the government and the people of the state, especially those who lost their loved ones to the flood. Similarly, the United Nations Humanitarian Coordinator in Nigeria, Mohammed Fall, has announced a sum of $6 million from the Nigeria Humanitarian Fund to support flood victims in Borno State. Alao Dam, located just over 10 miles to the south of Maiduguri, the capital of Borno State, collapsed on September 10th, compelling hundreds of thousands of people to flee from their homes. As part of efforts to alleviate poverty and improve the well-being of vulnerable population in Zamfara State, the wife of the governor, Huriya Dauda Lawal, has distributed cash and rice to 3,000 vulnerable people across the 19 emirates under the 14 local government areas of the state. Ogochukwu Mobono has details. Well, we'll bring you the detail of that story in our subsequent bulletin. Our apologies. Millions of Muslims around the world are still celebrating Eid al-Mawlud, the birthday of Prophet Muhammad, peace be unto him. The celebration of Eid al-Mawlud is an opportunity for Muslims to reflect on the teachings and the life of the Prophet, as well as serve as a reminder of his role in guiding humanity towards righteousness and moral integrity. Global Television brings you details.
Speaking on the significance of Eid al-Mawlud, the Vice Chairman, Jamiat Ansaruddin Tijaniya, Jamilu Sabiu, says the celebration of Eid al-Mawlud holds deep religious and spiritual significance for Muslims because it is a time for reflecting on the values, teachings, and virtues that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be unto him, embodied, including humility, kindness, and devotion to God.
The significance of Maulid Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is to commemorate and celebrate the birthday of our beloved Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and it's a time for us as Muslims to rejoice and show our appreciation to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala that has in his own mercy blessed us and gave us his most beloved servant, the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, as a mercy to the whole mankind.
The celebration followed lots of processions with religious recitations, prayers, sermons, songs, and colorful parades. The gathering that brought together all Muslim faithfuls did not just center around the birth of Prophet Muhammad, peace be unto him, but an avenue to call for peace, unity, and religious tolerance in the country. For Global Television, Queen Agaba reporting.
Edo State People's Democratic Party governorship candidate Asue Ighodalo says the Minister of Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, does not have the power to determine the next governor of the state. His statement was a response to Wike's claim that he told Governor Godwin Obaseki when he came with the PDP candidate that he would not back Ighodalo at the September 21st governorship poll in the state. Meanwhile, Senator Natasha Akpoti Uduaghan has urged Edo residents to vote for the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Asue Ighodalo, as his running mate, Omorodion Oge, in the upcoming gubernatorial election slated for Saturday, September 21st. At rallies in Igara, Lampese, and Ibilo in Akoko Edo local government area of the state, Senator Akpoti appealed to Ibira people and other tribes to support PDP to ensure continued dividend of democracy in the state. Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma has assured that all Progressive Congress aspirants who contested the party's primaries for the local government election but failed to scale through will be refunded the money spent on purchase of forms. Uzodinma gave the assurance after attending Sunday Mass at the Government House Chapel in Owerri, the state's capital. Kike Lomoke tells us more.
The Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma maintained that there is no going back on the date for the local government elections, insisting that September 21st, 2024 remains sacrosanct, pledging that only the funds spent on purchasing form from the party will be refunded, excluding expenses made without receipt, such as those spent on consultations.
I want to call on all our leaders to bear with me and make this sacrifice. All the people that apply as aspirants to run for either councillorship or chairmanship in the local government election who are not successful, their monies will be refunded tomorrow.
The governor also pleaded with leaders whose expectation may have been disappointed to bear with the party and make sacrifice for the sake of the party in particular and the state in general.
We want to use the opportunity of this local government election to push back government to the grassroots, to encourage participation of the grassroots, to see whether some of our leaders will consider going back home to operate from their homes.
Governor Hope Uzodinma further reassures the public that the election will proceed as scheduled, the Imo State Electoral Commission, on September 21st, 2024. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News.
Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State has reaffirmed his administration's commitment to strengthening cooperation with the People's Republic of China in key areas such as renewable energy, healthcare, and education. Sanwo-Olu made the pledge at the 75th anniversary celebration held at Lekki, Lagos. The governor, represented by his deputy, Dr. Obafemi Hamzat, praised China as a valuable partner and friend whose cooperation had unlocked new potentials in the sub-Saharan region. The Anambra State Governor, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, has approved the appointment of individuals to serve as members of the Anambra State Civil Service Commission. In a statement issued by the governor's press secretary, Christian Aburime, Governor Soludo says the move is part of his administration's ongoing commitment to enhancing the efficiency and effectiveness of the state civil service system. You're watching the Global News AM on Global Television. We're coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. When the AM News returns, Bamako Airport closed as gunmen attacked police base in Mali. Details of this and more after this break. Please. Many thanks for staying with us. If you've just joined us, this is Global Television bringing you live broadcast of the AM News. In business, the Central Bank of Nigeria has confirmed that it will sustain its ways and means advances to the federal government at a 5% limit for the fiscal years 2024 to 2025. The latest development is contrary to a bill passed by the National Assembly, which raised the maximum borrowing percentage in the Act from 5% to 10%. This information is based on the Monetary Credit Foreign Trade and Exchange Policy Guidelines for the fiscal years 2024 to 2025, published by the Apex Bank on Tuesday. Following the agreement between the federal government and the Dangote refineries on the sale of PMS to NNPC Limited, the Nigerian Employees Consultative Association has said the deal could signal the end of petrol scarcity and also lead to reduced pressure on forex demand. Speaking in Lagos, the Director General of the Association, Adewale Smart Oyerinde, hailed the landmark pricing agreement that led to the lifting of petrol from the Dangote refinery. He stated that this singular event has the potential to change the perennial fuel scarcity situation in the country and also reduce the pressure on the naira. The Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority has sealed filling stations and fined no fewer than 3 marketers for allegedly receiving stolen fuels, following operations conducted by the personnel of the Nigeria Customs Service in August 2024. The operations led to the interception of 7 petrol trucks, the sealing of 12 retail outlets, and the seizure of 466,000 litres of petrol and 23 vehicles. The Nigerian Customs Service noted that 7 suspects were prosecuted after an investigation into the matter. On the foreign scene, rescuers in Sierra Leone are continuing to search for more survivors after a 7-story building collapsed in the capital Freetown, killing at least 8 people. The West African country's National Disaster Management Agency said 6 people have been rescued from the rubble on Shell New Road, but more people remain trapped, stating that some of those in the rubble had been able to communicate their locations to the rescuers. Gunmen have attacked a military police base in the Malian capital, Bamako, where gunfire and explosions have been heard and the airport closed down. Volleys of gunfire interspersed with explosions began at around 5 a.m. local time, and black smoke were seen rising from an area near the airport. However, the suspects have not been formally identified. Hong Kong has experienced its hottest Mid-Autumn Festival since records began in 1884, with temperatures hitting 33.8 degrees Celsius. The Hong Kong Observatory warned that the weather is very hot and urged the public to take precautions such as drinking more water and avoiding vigorous outdoor activities. A gunman hid for nearly 12 hours in bushes before Donald Trump played an unscheduled game of golf at his Oceanfront Club in Florida, leaving locals stunned at what authorities say appeared to be the second attempt to assassinate the former president. It was hot and cloudy on Sunday afternoon when Trump and his good friend, real estate developer Steve Witkoff, arrived on the course of Trump International Golf Club in West Palm Beach. The former president was on the 5th fairway, an area adjacent to busy roads near Palm Beach International Airport, when a member of his protection detail spotted a rifle poking out a foliage by the 6th hole. In sports, Super Falcons midfielder Ngozi Okobi has announced the birth of her child. The former Eskilton of Sweden midfielder announced the arrival of her baby on Tuesday via social media platforms. Nigerian stars Victor Boniface and Frank Onyeka have been included in the Bundesliga Team of the Week. The Bundesliga Best 11 was compiled and published on the X handle. Boniface was the standout performer for Bundesliga champions Bayer Leverkusen in their 4-1 win away in Hoffenheim. After setting up Leverkusen's first goal scored on the 17th minute, Boniface then made it 2-0 in the 30th minute. Atlanta forward and 2024 Ballon d'Or nominee Ademola Lookman is looking forward to a new challenge as the European League champions battle Arsenal in their first game of the remodified UEFA Champions League on Thursday. Gianpiero Gasperini's side will host the Gunners at the Jewish Stadium on their return to the competition after a 2-year absence. Lookman and his teammates will head into the game on the back of a thrilling 3-2 win over Fiorentina in their Serie A game that saw the Nigerian score 1 goal and provide 1 assist on his first league appearance this season. And that's it on the Global AM News, and it came to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're on DSTV, channel 365, Star Times, channel 276, and free to air on Nigecomsat. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms using @GlobalTVNG and other handles now showing on your screen. I'm Queen Agaba. Thank you for watching and see you again.
Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Get in on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team. Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here. Get ready for it. Inside Today brings you issues relating to family, peer pressure, drugs, substance abuse, societal and topical issues making rounds. Join Jumai Manson on Global Television Monday to Thursday and they repeat every Friday. Time 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Don't miss out.
I've seen watch your network, Global Television, and I think it's a refreshing addition to some of the networks that we already have, to have competitive media and looking at news from different angles. The place to go is to watch Global Television because it gives you a different perspective, whether it is local news or foreign news, and even you're connecting with local communities in villages that I have seen. So we urge Nigerians that, this is the time to broaden the space, the source of information, of entertainment, and of enlightenment. And Global TV is the place to watch.
Are you ready to be entertained like never before? Get ready to dive into the latest and greatest entertainment news in lifestyle, music, movies, birthday celebration, and so much more. All on Entertainment Circle on Global Television. From the hottest red carpet event to exclusive interviews with your favorite stars, we've got you covered. Stay up to date with the latest trends and news from the entertainment world, all in one place. Tune in every Saturday by 1 p.m. with Chung Animal Joseph on Global Television.
But by your name, you say global. So global is a big coverage. So you are taking a big name, but you are starting from from scratch. So that big name, by the grace of Almighty Allah, you achieve that. You will appreciate your activities, your reportage, and everything you are doing. Do it with the fear of Almighty God. Step by step, you'll be growing very, very globally. Get your things right and then report rightly. And then inshallah, sky will be your limit.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bands, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business.
Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts today. Brings you into family, peer pressure, drugs, substance abuse, societal and topical issues making rounds. Join Jumain Manson on Global Television Monday to Thursday and they repeat every Friday. Time 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Don't miss out.
television, and I think it's a refreshing addition to some of the networks that we already have, to have competitive media and looking at news from different angles. The place to go is to watch global television, because it gives you a different perspective, whether it is local news or foreign news. You know, this is the time to broaden the space, the source of information, of entertainment, and of
Are you ready to be entertained like never before? Get ready to dive into the latest and much more, all on Entertainment Circle on Global Television. From the hottest red carpet event to exclusive interviews with your favorite stars, we've got you covered. Stay up to date with the latest trends and news from the entertainment world, all on television.
But by your name, you say global. So global is a big coverage. So you are taking a big name, but you are starting from from scratch. So that.
Thank you everyone for staying with us on Global Morning. Two discussions are in front of us today, but first off, Queen Agaba is on the program this morning. Queen is looking dazzling. A while ago, some persons shared feedback about their assessment of how you appeared on television, but again, I'm going to keep that under wraps. Hopefully the persons and questions, as I say, you hear from the horse's mouth.
I think it's color theory. I'm doing great. I trust you're doing good. You look dapper as well. You look like you're about to have a second wedding. Some sort of.
That's like a second wife.
Not second, but maybe second wedding. But I think it's color theory.
Right.
When you wear bright colors, you tend to be more noticed.
More visible.
More visible, yeah, more visible. And it just compliments you. I think we should, or men should also incorporate wearing pink.
Be more color sensitive.
More color sensitive.
Yeah, men wearing pink is a bit scary. At least 2024. You know what the movement is about.
I know, right?
Particularly in the West.
I know, right? But this is just color we're talking about here. But there's a way we can infuse it to be a lot more colorful, more bright, and sometimes appealing to the eyes.
Right, true.
So we shouldn't just say pink for only. These are colors. I know that there are colors that are predominantly assumed to be women colors.
Yeah, like maybe gender specific.
Gender specific, like pink, like purple, and sometimes even orange. You hear people say, "What am I doing with a pink suit?" But I've seen people who are bold enough to style it in a way that is appealing, and I think we should all incorporate it. Style should be.
We've seen male models do that. Comedians, artists, filmmakers, actors. Yes, they do that these days. But I think, like you said, it's about how you do the combination and how you model it when you put it on and things like that. But then. We have two big issues. First of all, this morning we're just doing some sort of, if you like, just doing a walkthrough of the issue in Borno State, the flooding and how much of damage we've seen in that state, and then the socio-economic impact it has had on the people, and what specifics can be done to mitigate these impacts and what have you. Of course, that's for the flood. And then the second issue is Edo State election. Of course, you have been to Edo State in light of this election. As you say, you have seen this whole thing firsthand. But then we understand the last 2 weeks in between when you arrived Abuja and now, a lot has also happened in the state. Let's begin from Edo State because this election that's in front of us just 3 days away. What were your observations in terms of how the candidates and their respective political parties carry themselves? What kind of narratives were they having in light of selling their manifesto to the voting public in the states? Of course, we couldn't have talked about INEC preparation much at that time. But as of today, we understand that INEC is fully on the ground. Of course, distribution of materials or arrival of materials, non-sensitive materials as they call them, would have already started. The police say they have 35,000 men on the ground already. Talk to us about what you had noticed when you were on the ground in Benin.
Okay, the election in Benin, the forthcoming election in Benin is quite interesting, and a whole lot has been on ground for this election. Campaigns, when we're coming into Benin, moving into the city of Benin itself, we saw campaigns from Labour Party, PDP. We didn't see so much of PDP, but we saw the campaigns, APC, everywhere. Campaigns everywhere. Of course, it was that period for, campaigning until last week.
For rally.
For rally.
Yes, but campaign closes tomorrow midnight.
I beg your pardon, the rally. The rally. So we saw a lot of rallying and campaigning until now that the rally has ceased. And what I gathered is the people of Edo State are hungry for a government that will fix what seems to be broken. Roads, whatever that is. Roads, education, infrastructure, monies that are being owed, lands that are being taken away from the people of Edo State, and what you have. And then we see